Heaven's Gate all started when a woman called Bonnie Nettles met a man called Marshall Applewhite. She visited the fortune teller, which told her she would meet a mysterious man who was tall with light hair and a fair complexion. Bonnie Nettles met Marshall Applewhite in 1972, visiting a hospitalised friend. When Mrs. Nettles entered the room and their eyes locked on, they shared a recognition of each other. Nettles agreed to perform an astrological reading for Marshall Applewhite. They had an almost instantaneous spiritual connection. They formed a friendship and decided to create the Heaven's Gate movement. As the years went by, they got more and more members to join their cult. In 1983, Bonnie Nettles had to have her eye removed due to cancer, and a doctor informed her that the disease was spreading through the rest of her body. Nettles died on June 19, 1985 at Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas, Texas. He had her body cremated and her ashes were spread upon a lake somewhere in Texas. Marshall Applewhite explained to the group that Nettles had left because her work was done in this level, and that himself still had more to do. Applewhite also said that Nettles would continue to help them from the next level. The death of Nettles was a key turning point for the cult of Heaven's Gate, in which they all had the belief that they would physically ascend to heaven while alive aboard a UFO, to viewing the body as merely a vehicle for the soul, which would be discarded upon entering heaven, which would culminate in the group's mass suicide in 1997.
The knowledge that we have, we actually identify with that mind, not with the suit of clothes. My partner and I had to leave bodies in the evolutionary level above human. We had to leave those bodies in order to, in other words, set those bodies aside in order to come and incarnate in these bodies. Remind you again, we're not talking about at birth of the body. We're talking about we incarnated into these bodies in the 70s, in the early 70s, and then helped these who had come for the specific purpose of this learning experience and helping us offer this information to others who might have some of that mind in them given to them from that evolutionary level. In other words, periodically that level comes in close enough and offers a graduation class, offers life out of this evolutionary level into that evolutionary level. And we're at the end of that time. Now, since we are about to leave, and I said that we're at the end of that time, doesn't mean that there might not possibly be some of you who are watching this tape who know that we're telling the truth, and you can say, but wait a minute, you're leaving. I've never heard of you. Why are you leaving now? And I'm hearing about you for the first time. Well, that is not our fault. We have been here. We have made ourselves known to the public. We have held meetings. We have put out information, articles that have been printed and major newspapers that have gone world over for many years for the time that we have been here. And we've been ignored, or we've been called a UFO cult, or we've been called some New Age cult, or, you name it, whatever cult you want to call it, we've been called that. We're none of those things, but we can understand why someone would call us that when they do not have and have not been given the knowledge to see us for who we are and recognize what we can offer you. We didn't come here to blow ourselves up. We're unblown while we're in the human kingdom. We could not be in a more modest circumstance than to have on human suit of clothes for the time that we are here. Now, we're about to step out of the human clothes that we are wearing. And you could say, well, why would you do such a thing as that? You mean you're going to go commit suicide? Well, I'm afraid I have to give you, we have a website, and on that website called Heaven's Gate, we have a little category in there that you can key on, and it says what we believe concerning suicide, or why we're against suicide, or I don't remember the exact title. But it explains that to us suicide is when you have had life because you've connected with, you have received mind from the kingdom level above human, and you have been given that awakening mind so that you are aware of the truth about that kingdom level, and therefore have an opportunity to move out of the human kingdom into that kingdom level. And then when you turn against that, or when you cannot do what is required to identify with the mind and not with the body.
Cult leaders are typically narcissists and expert manipulators, and he managed to convince all his followers to go with him. Typically, most followers that are in a cult have had trauma in their lives or are looking for some kind of spiritual enlightenment of some kind. They're vulnerable people. They're easily brainwashed.
Let's swing over to Wendodi. Great. There's that little jerk there, and that wasn't Wendodi, that was our cameraman. Okay. That looks good. Okay, thank you, Wendodi. Let's move on over. There's Alex Odie. Hi, Alex Odie.
This is the black uniform they wore just before they committed suicide. It said Heaven's Gate Away Team.
They're all cameras, yeah. Okay, come on over to Steel Odie. There's Steel Odie. Might want to turn that down just a little bit. Great. Look at the camera, Steely. Hi, where's your normal? There. Ah, good. Okay, let's go to Doroti. Okay, there's Doroti, and he's even looking at the camera, aren't you, Doroti? Stay looking. There, we got it. Okay, thank you, and let's move on over to Arisodi. Questodi, I'm sorry. There's Questodi. Hi, Questodi. Can you see the camera? There you are. That looks good. Thank you. Okay, and there's Chekodi. A lot of you all watching this film know these individuals, I'm sure, and are curious about all the things that have transpired in their lessons since you last saw them. Okay, let's go to Stamodi. There's Stamodi. Hi. They're going to have a little time on camera, hopefully, where they can talk to you a little bit, so that you won't think they're just total mutes. You know, they do talk and and they can think and, you know, work the vehicle that they're in. They can actually manipulate it. How about Sunodi? Okay, there's Sunodi. Go in a little closer. That's good. Camera's focused now. Okay, great. Let's see Daimodi over there. It's so great to have Daimodi back in the class. He was out for a while and we had to rescue him. Boy, he really had to track us down to find us again. And he's certainly been an excellent example for the time that he's been back with us. And Daimodi, if you could go a little bit to your right now so we can get a little better shot of Tadodi behind you. Great. That's good. Tadodi was out of the class for a while and couldn't find us, and we ran into him in Flagstaff, Arizona, in a Burger King or some such place. And some of the class was there while they were holding meetings, and he couldn't wait to try to make arrangements to see if he could rejoin the class. Okay, and let's go to Avenodi. There he is. Get him a little centered if you can. Okay, great. And let's go on over to Ann Lodi. Okay, there's Ann Lodi. I'm sure that some of you watching this have seen Ann Lodi. And she was out of the class for a while. It's interesting how many of these had to spend a little time out of the class before they realized that this is the only thing that meant anything to them, that they knew that this was something they couldn't exist without, and that this is who they really are. Going over to Presodi. Hi, Presodi. That's good. That looks good. Presodi has certainly been a faithful servant of our classroom and of the next level, doing everything that she can to be of service in the class. Going over to Wakanoti. There's Wakanoti. Wakanoti brought her vehicle into the class just, what, a year, 2 years ago? What was it, Wakanoti? 3 years ago? Good night, those passed like days. I can't remember that. Seems to have been such a short time. And Arasodi next to her. There's Arasodi. Now we're getting a little shadow on Arasodi. There, great. That gives us some light. Okay, thanks. And let's go ahead. Arasodi also came in about the time that Wakanoti did. And so some of you who are watching this who may know a lot of the class don't know some of these faces. Okay, let's go on. And there's Norodi, and get her centered. That's good. Okay, that's great. And let's go to Thursodi. There's Thursodi. Thursodi, like a number of students, had to leave the classroom for a while, and so that they would know that this was all that was anything to them, and they suffered and learned a lot for the time that they were out, and were very eager to get back in, and it's meant a lot to us and to them to be back in. Okay, let's go to Melody. There's Melody. Melody, one of our real workhorses. She tries to help us keep track of our funds and helps us with all our computer projects and makes out lengthy reports with the help of her partners and the others that serve on that team. And let's go over to Goldenody. Goldenody's Melody's partner, and she's one that came in, about 3 years ago, Goldenody, and she has served so well and worked so hard and been such a just tedious student in service ever since she's been in the classroom. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, there's Destody, and it's funny that we're talking about space and how we're from space, and only tonight when we went out to the movie to see Star Wars, we saw Destody's vehicle in a book pictured with, guess who, someone from what's the name of it? From Star Trek. The vehicle that Destody is wearing, his sister was, what was her name on the, what? Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek, and this is the brother vehicle. Do you mind me saying that, Destody? He probably does. He can't admit it to me since I'm a teacher. He doesn't mind. No, he thought it was a lot of fun. Okay, great. Let's go on. And there's Leody. That's Destody. Destody reached over and tickled him because he wanted to be sure that Leody smiled. Leody was out of the class for a while, and I think we ran into him in what state? In Salt Lake, and it was so good to be able to have him back in the class. Okay, and we go over to Ivanoti, that came in a little space between where some of these returned. Ivanoti, how long have you been in the classroom? 5 or 6 years, something like that? And she's certainly been a super help to all of us and has really kept control of the demons in an exemplary way. I mean, I say that because we all have to deal with demons on a daily basis and try to, it's a popular thing now for humans to say that they are dealing with their demons, but nobody knows what that means like we do when you're trying to overcome the genetic imprint of the body that you're wearing and the discarnates that would influence them. Let's go over to Junodi. Okay, there's Junodi, and she's certainly been a workhorse for us in every area, and we're proud of all of the service that she has rendered to the next level during our classroom stay. And there's Glenody next to, there we got a little shadow on Glenody. These that you've just watched, June Odie, Eve Odie, and Glenn Odie, like Al Odie and some of the others, have been big contributors to our book Heaven's Gate that you can find on internet, as well as the hard copy that's available if you want to find it from internet. And Glenn Odie's worked like a Trojan on the book, and it has really come out to, we think it's come out to be something we're very proud of. Let's go over to Star Odie. There's Star Odie. Go in a little closer if you can. Looks great, Star Odie. Okay, but Star Odie is one that really holds the fort down in all the tasks that a lot of people don't like to perform. She has worked so hard in the areas of the Nutrilab and the Fiber Lab, and just has really been a hard worker in areas that seem so mundane in some people's views. Okay, let's go back to the back row. There's Lagodi, who certainly has made a major contribution to our classroom in many, many aspects, and tries to keep us on the track in human legal matters and all the kind of stuff that we could get in hot water over if we didn't have his help. Okay, and then there's Tall Odie next to him. We call him Tall Odie because he's a little taller than Lagodi, who happens to be very, very tall. And we've had a lot of fun teasing him. He was out of the class for a period of time and was miserable until he had a chance to rejoin, and he has really worked like a Trojan to control the things that were difficult for him before he left the class for a while. Okay, let's go over there. It's Jan Odie, who certainly has been a faithful helper of mine and has been an excellent example in the classroom. Her partner, Liv Odie, there is next to her, and Liv Odie has served as Jan Odie's partner and has been a helper as well to me directly, and has served us in more ways than we can count, and we're all appreciative of them. Let's swing over to Bran Odie. Okay, come in a little closer if you can. Bran Odie was out of the classroom for a while and has had a tough time dealing with a vehicle that gave her a lot of trouble as far as problems that humans would call a physical handicap, and she has really risen above the things that the vehicle would cause her to have problems with, and we're proud of her. Let's go over to her partner, Sam Odie. There's Sam Odie, who, like Star Odie, has really filled in the hole on things that of the menial tasks that have to be done in the craft. Worked in sewing so much, and cleaning the craft, and in the laundry, and all the areas that seem to always need attention. And she certainly has never been slow on energy and all that it takes to keep us in good shape. Okay, let's go to Song Odie next there. There's Song Odie. She's also been one of our bookkeepers and pursers and helped keep us with the numbers and the records, as her partner Sylv Odie has. And Song Odie has, like many of the class, they've also served in out-of-craft tasks and to help keep us in our financial needs, as well as keeping our records and trying to keep us in order so that we try to know what we're doing. It's so hard for us to tune into the regimen of the human world and to treat it with the respect that humans would like for us to treat it with, but we do the best that we can while we're here. Let's go over to her partner, Sylv Odie, who has certainly served in similar capacities so well. And Sylv Odie was also out of the classroom for a while, and she, like the others, knew that this was where life was, and she came back to life when she had an opportunity to return to the classroom, and we're so glad that she knows who she is and what she's a part of. Okay, now I guess at this point we'll stay on Sylv Odie for a second while the camera people go, so that we can get them in here. Okay. Hi, Sylv Odie. Okay. Now Steelodie's going to take over on the camera and swing over to Vernodie. Okay, there we go. There's Vernodie. See, we have a new cameraman now. That's the reason we jerked a little there, but he's got it in focus. Can you reduce the light just a tad? Okay. That's good. And Vernodie has also been in, how many years, Vernodie? 3 years. And Vernodie has really been a hard worker and has served a lot in our CompuLab. We call it CompuLab. It helped so much with not only out-of-craft tasks that we've done with CompuLab, but in trying to get our internet work under control, and has been a very good servant, not just in those ways. And he's, I think probably he would tell you that he's had one of the his share of the same things that I talked to you about earlier, that we all have those demons to conquer, and yet he knows that this is it for him, and we know how much he knows that. And well, I better get off that before I embarrass him anymore. Let's go on over to Soroti. Soroti's the clown of the class, or I shouldn't say that. I'm teasing him, as I always do. And he has also been a very good servant of the class, and in many, many ways, and never shy of energy, never shy of wanting to serve.
On March the 26th, 1997, deputies of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department discovered the bodies of 39 active members of the Heaven's Gate. To coincide with the closest approach of Comet Hale-Bopp, just before the mass suicide, the group's website was updated with the message, "Hale-Bopp brings closure to Heaven's Gate." Marshall Applewhite died by suicide by suffocation. Members took phenobarbital mixed with applesauce or pudding, washed it down with vodka. Heaven's Gate is still active to this day and still has active members, regularly checking their website and updating it.